Commander Olivia Marsh stood frozen on the bridge of the Odyssey. The massive view screen showed something impossible, a ship unlike anything humans had built. It glided through space near Neptune's orbit, its hull shimmering with blue-green, lights that pulsed like a heartbeat. "Sensor report," Marsh said, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "Unknown materials, Commander." "Power readings off the charts," replied Lieutenant Kevin Jones from his station. "It's about twice our size, but the energy output is, well, it's like comparing a candle to the sun." Marsh nodded. First contact. After all these years of searching the stars, the aliens had found them instead. "Open all frequencies. Let's say hello." For 3 tense minutes, nothing happened. Then the view screen flickered. Where empty space had been, a figure appeared. It looked almost like a large bird standing upright, with feathers in shades of copper and gold. It had arms instead of wings, with 3-fingered hands. Its eyes were large and completely black. "Greetings, humans of Earth vessel," it said in perfect English. "I am Emissary Talek of the Aluxian Reach, representative of the Galactic Council." Marsh felt a chill run down her spine. Not just aliens, but a whole council of them. "I am Commander Olivia Marsh of Earth's exploratory vessel Odyssey. We welcome peaceful contact." The alien made a gesture that might have been a bow. "Peace is our preference as well. However, I must inform you that your species has been expanding into protected sectors without authorization. The Council requires representatives of your world to appear and explain these violations." Marsh kept her face neutral. "I wasn't aware we needed permission to explore our own solar system. Your recent quantum fold experiments have been detected. You have moved beyond simple exploration." The alien's voice remained calm. "The Council has observed your development for some time. Your advancement rate is concerning." "Concerning?" Marsh raised an eyebrow. "Most species take centuries longer to develop from combustion engines to quantum physics. Your rapid growth, combined with your history of conflict, has triggered Council protocols." Marsh felt anger rise within her. "You've been watching us? That is the Council's role, to monitor developing worlds. Earth is now at a crossroads. Send representatives to the Council within 30 days, or measures will be taken to ensure galactic security." The screen went dark before Marsh could respond. "Did we record all that?" she asked. "Every word, Commander," Jones said. "Set course for Earth maximum speed. We need to get this information to Admiral Carter immediately." Admiral William Carter stared at the recording for the 3rd time, then looked around the conference table. The leaders of Earth's 7 major powers watched with expressions ranging from shock to outright disbelief. "Is this verified?" asked President Eleanor Howard of the North American Alliance. "Yes, Madam President," Carter replied. "The Odyssey encountered the alien vessel exactly where and when they claim. All sensor data confirms this was no hoax." Premier Lin of the Asian Coalition leaned forward. "So we are being summoned, like school children, to explain ourselves? By what authority do these aliens claim to restrict our movement?" "By the authority of advanced technology that makes our best ships look like toys," General Rodriguez of the Southern Continental Union muttered. Carter nodded. "The Aluxian ship could have destroyed the Odyssey at any moment. Instead, they delivered a message. I recommend we take this summons seriously." "We need to send a delegation," Howard said. "Our best diplomats, scientists, and yes, military personnel. We need to understand what we're dealing with." "We should prepare for war," said the Russian Federation representative. "If these aliens think they can restrict humanity, war would be suicide," interrupted Dr. Alan Freeman, who had been called in as Earth's leading xenolinguist. "We don't know how many species are in this council or what their capabilities. Our diplomacy must be our first approach." The room fell silent as everyone considered his words. "Dr. Freeman is right," Howard finally said. "We need a delegation. And Dr. Freeman, you should lead it." Freeman looked startled. "Madam President, I'm a linguist, not a diplomat. You understand communication across species better than anyone," she replied. "And we'll send Captain Natalie West as your military advisor. She has both combat experience and diplomatic training. Carter nodded in agreement. The Intrepid is our newest ship. It can be ready in 5 days. We can put together a delegation of 12 scientists, diplomats, and security. While hoping that's enough, Rodriguez added darkly. What do we tell the public? Asked the European Union Chancellor. Howard sighed. The truth. We can't hide something this big, and we need global unity now more than ever. The news of alien contact spread across Earth like wildfire. In city centers, crowds gathered to watch the official broadcast. In New York's Times Square, thousands stood silently as President Howard addressed the world. Today we face the greatest challenge in human history, she said. We are not alone in the universe, and we have been called to account for our actions by a coalition of advanced species. We do not yet know their intentions or demands, but we will meet this challenge as we have met every challenge, with courage, intelligence, and unity. In homes across the world, families huddled around screens, children asking questions parents couldn't answer. Churches, mosques, temples, and synagogues filled with people seeking comfort in faith. In military bases, soldiers and pilots prepared for the worst while hoping for peace. 5 days later, Dr. Alan Freeman stood in the launch bay of the Intrepid watching the final preparations. Captain Natalie West approached, her uniform crisp, her expression determined. The ship is ready, Doctor, she said. Our team is the best Earth has to offer. Freeman nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility. I never imagined first contact would happen like this. Being summoned to answer charges we didn't know existed. That's why they sent you, West said. To help us understand and be understood. She pointed at the 10 other delegation members checking equipment and reviewing data. Between your brains and our training, we'll find a way through this. And if we don't? Freeman asked quietly. West's face hardened. Then humanity will do what it's always done, adapt and overcome. If these aliens want to see how humans respond to threats, they might learn more than they bargained for. As they boarded the ship, Freeman looked back at Earth through the bay windows. Blue, green, and beautiful. Home to billions who had no idea what waited beyond the stars. The Intrepid's engines hummed to life. The ship rose from its dock and accelerated toward the coordinates provided by the Aluxians, toward the Galactic Council, toward humanity's greatest challenge. The journey to the Galactic Council took 7 days. The Intrepid followed the Aluxian escort ship through what Dr. Freeman could only describe as folded space. Points where the normal rules of distance seemed to bend. Captain Natalie West stood at the viewport, watching stars streak by in patterns that shouldn't be possible. How are they doing this? She asked. Their drive creates temporary wormholes, explained Dr. Freeman, studying the data on his tablet. Each jump takes us hundreds of light years. At our best speeds, this journey would take centuries. West frowned. So they're showing off, making sure we understand how far behind we are. Or ensuring we arrive quickly, Freeman suggested. Their message seemed urgent. Lieutenant Sandra Miller approached them, her eyes wide with excitement, despite the tension. The Aluxian captain has invited 2 of us to visit their ship, learn about council space before we arrive. West and Freeman exchanged glances. I should go, West said. Security protocols? We both go, Freeman interrupted. This is why we're here, to learn, to communicate, to represent humanity. An hour later, they stood in the Aluxian ship's central chamber. Unlike human vessels with their straight lines and practical designs, everything here curved. The walls glowed with soft light, and what looked like plants grew along the ceiling. 3 Aluxians waited for them. The tallest one stepped forward. I am Captain Kalari. These are my science officers, Vex and Tani. The translator device at Freeman's collar worked perfectly, converting the musical clicks and trills into English. Thank you for this opportunity, Freeman said. I am Dr. Alan Freeman, xenolinguist. This is Captain Natalie West, our security chief. The alien made that same bowing gesture they had seen in the first contact recording. We have prepared information about the council that may help your transition. We have rarely seen a species progress so quickly from isolation to council. Summons. Is that unusual? West asked. The aliens exchanged looks that Freeman couldn't interpret. Most species are guided into council space after centuries of observation, Vex said finally. Your case is different. Different how? Pressed West. You are considered aggressive anomalies, said Tani bluntly. The other Aluxians shifted uncomfortably. Freeman leaned forward. What does that mean? Captain Kalari gestured them toward a glowing table. Most council species evolved through cooperation. Competition was secondary, but humans. Images appeared above the table. Earth's wars, weapons, environmental damage. You advanced despite constant conflict, not because of cooperation, Kalari continued. Some council members find this deeply concerning. We've had peace for decades, West said defensively. 50 years of relative peace after thousands of years of warfare is not reassuring to species who measure their peaceful periods in millennia, Tani replied. Freeman felt a chill. Has the council encountered species like us before? The aliens grew very still. 3 times, Kalari said finally. All were contained through council intervention. Contained? West's hand moved instinctively toward where her sidearm would be if she had been allowed to bring it. That is not for us to discuss, Kalari said. The council will explain everything. 3 days later, the Intrepid emerged from its final jump into a view that left the entire human crew speechless. Nexus Station hung in space like a massive metal flower, each petal the size of Earth's moon. Ships of countless designs moved around it, some small as fighters, others larger than Earth's biggest cities. My God, whispered Ryan Bishop, the delegation's security officer. How many species are we looking at? The council represents 27 spacefaring civilizations, said their Aluxian guide. But many more non-voting associate species use this station for trade and diplomacy. The Intrepid docked at one of the smallest bays. As the delegation prepared to disembark, Freeman gathered them together. Remember your training, he said. Show respect, but not submission. We are here as equals, not supplicants. Humanity has done nothing wrong by exploring space. They stepped onto the station to find a reception committee waiting. The aliens were stunningly diverse. Some looked almost human. Others defied easy description. Floating orbs of light hovered near what appeared to be walking crystals. Things with too many limbs stood beside creatures that seemed made of liquid. A tall, sleek being with pale blue skin stepped forward. I am Ambassador Ilara of the Veridine Confederation. I have been assigned as your guide during your stay. Her voice was melodic, and she looked almost human except for her silver eyes and the faint scales along her temples. We're grateful for your assistance, Freeman said. Ilara gestured down a curving corridor. Your hearing begins tomorrow. Tonight you will rest and prepare in the quarters we've arranged. I must warn you, many council members already have strong opinions about humanity. Negative ones, I assume, West said quietly. Not all, Ilara replied. Some of us value independence and see potential in your species. Others, she hesitated. The Zith Collective has been particularly vocal about containing Earth until you prove yourselves safe. And who are the Zith? Asked Bishop, as if, in answer, a group of insectoid beings rounded the corner ahead. They walked on 4 legs with 2 upper limbs ending in delicate manipulators. Their carapaces gleamed metallic green, and their compound eyes seemed to focus on the humans immediately. That would be them, Ilara said softly. And that is Ambassador Tizit leading them. He will be presenting the case against Earth tomorrow. The insectoid delegation paused, their antennae waving in what seemed like agitation. Then they chittered among themselves and deliberately changed direction to avoid passing near the humans. They find your scent disturbing, Ilara explained, among other things. As the delegation settled into their quarters, surprisingly comfortable rooms with Earth-like gravity and atmosphere, Bishop approached Freeman privately. Something's wrong, he said quietly. Besides being put on trial by aliens? Freeman asked. Riley, I've been scanning everything since we arrived. There's surveillance everywhere expected, but I detected signs of recent tampering in our quarters, and the security protocols don't match what the Aluxians told us to expect. You think someone's trying to sabotage us? Freeman asked, his voice low. Bishop nodded. Someone wants us to fail tomorrow, and I don't think it's just the Zith. West joined them, her expression grim. The station's information network is accessible through our quarters systems. I've been reviewing council records about Earth. And? Freeman prompted. According to their files, Earth was supposed to be contacted 50 years ago. Someone deliberately delayed first contact, right when we were beginning our first serious space exploration. Freeman looked between them. So, we were set up to expand into space without knowing the rules, then summoned to answer for breaking those same rules. Exactly, West said. The question is, who benefits from humanity looking like dangerous rule breakers? Outside their viewport, the vast structure of Nexus Station gleamed against the backdrop of unfamiliar stars. Tomorrow, humanity would stand before the Galactic Council, and someone was making sure that meeting would go very badly indeed. The council chamber was enormous. Dr. Freeman stood with the human delegation at the center of a vast circular room. Rising around them were 27 tiers of seating, each occupied by representatives of different species. Some looked almost human, while others defied easy description. Hovering screens translated everything into multiple languages. The air smelled faintly of something like cinnamon. The gravity felt slightly stronger than Earth normal. Stand tall, Captain West whispered to the delegation. Remember, we represent all of humanity today. At the highest tier sat a being unlike any Freeman had seen before. It appeared to be made of living crystal, with light pulsing through its transparent body. Its voice, when it spoke, seemed to come from everywhere at once. I am High Arbiter Kolvex of the Trelawney, it announced. This council session will now begin. We gather to address the case of the species known as humans, who have expanded beyond their home system without council authorization. Freeman felt every eye in the room focus on them. Ambassador Tzit of the Zeth Collective will present the case against Earth. Kolvex continued. The insectoid ambassador stepped forward, his green carapace gleaming under the chamber's lights. His translator transformed his clicks and chittering into smooth, cold words. Esteemed council members, Tzit began. The case before us is simple. The species calling themselves humans have violated our most basic laws by expanding into protected space without approval. The chamber's main display activated, showing images of Earth's history. But this is not merely about unauthorized expansion, Tzit continued. It is about the nature of the species itself. The images shifted to show Earth's wars, World War II, Vietnam, the Middle East conflicts, nuclear weapons tests. In their brief history, humans have developed increasingly efficient ways to kill one another, Tzit said. They have damaged their own planet's ecosystem to the point of near collapse. They have created weapons of mass destruction and used them against their own kind. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Freeman felt his heart sink. Everything shown was true, but it was only part of the story. Furthermore, Tzit continued, humans have begun colonizing planets in the Proxima Centauri system, planets previously seeded with council biological experiments. Their presence has already contaminated 3 ongoing studies. The display showed human outposts on distant worlds. But most concerning are our predictive models. Tzit gestured, and complex mathematical formulas appeared. These show that unchecked human expansion will destabilize 3 neighboring star clusters within 200 Earth years. Their competitive, aggressive nature combined with their rapid technological development makes them uniquely dangerous. Tzit turned to face the human delegation directly, his compound eyes gleaming. The Zeth Collective recommends immediate containment, a quarantine field around Sol system, and removal of all human presence beyond it. Technological monitoring to prevent further quantum fold experiments. This containment to continue until humans demonstrate peaceful integration capabilities, perhaps in another millennium. The chamber filled with sounds, some approving, some expressing shock or disagreement. High Arbiter Kolvex raised a crystalline, Limb for silence. Dr. Alan Freeman will now speak for Earth. Freeman stepped forward, feeling the weight of billions of lives on his shoulders. The evidence against humanity looked damning, but it wasn't the whole truth. Esteemed counsel, he began, his voice steady. I won't deny our history includes conflict and mistakes, but that is not all we are. He nodded to Lieutenant Miller, who activated their own display system. Yes, we fought wars, Freeman continued, but look at what followed. The screen showed humanitarian missions. Doctors Without Borders treating patients in crisis zones, international aid following natural disasters, the end of smallpox, the healing of the ozone layer. Humans learn from our mistakes. We grow, we change. Our competitive nature drives us forward, but not just in warfare. We compete to cure diseases, to solve problems, to explore peacefully. Freeman walked in a small circle, making eye contact with as many council members as possible. Ambassador Tizit showed you our weapons. Let me show you our music, our art, our literature, created by the same species capable of violence. The screens filled with images of Earth's greatest achievements, the Sistine Chapel, symphonies being performed, children from different nations playing together. As for our expansion into space, Freeman continued, we did not know these worlds were claimed. We received no warning, no communication, no boundary markers. How can we be judged for breaking rules we were never told existed? He saw some council members nodding. Others remained still, unreadable. If you study our history closely, you'll see that our competitive nature is exactly why we should be welcomed, not contained. We solve problems differently than cooperation-evolved species. We see solutions others might miss. Diversity of thought benefits everyone. A soft light began to glow near one of the council tiers. A being that appeared to be made of pure energy floated forward. I am Emissary Zaniel of the Luminoth, it said, its voice like gentle music. Dr. Freeman speaks truth. We have studied human creativity patterns. They are unique among known species. Their chaos creates innovation our ordered minds cannot replicate. There is value here. Ambassador Tizit's antennae vibrated with agitation. Value? They split the atom and immediately built bombs. Their first space probes carried weapons. Their entertainment glorifies violence. Yet they also split the atom. For medicine and energy, countered Alara, the Veridine ambassador who had guided them. Their probes carried messages of peace alongside defenses. Their entertainment also celebrates love, sacrifice, and cooperation. The chamber erupted in debate. Freeman stepped back, letting the council argue. He caught West's eye. She nodded, slightly. Some members were listening. Not all were against them. While the debate continued, Bishop moved closer to Freeman and West. I've been monitoring communications, he whispered. Something's happening. The Zith delegation is receiving encrypted messages from outside the chamber. West frowned. From who? Unknown. But they're agitated by them. High Arbiter Kolvex raised his crystalline arms again. We will recess for deliberation. The human delegation will return to their quarters. We reconvene in 6 hours. As they left the chamber, Freeman felt both hope and dread. He had made their case as well as he could. But would it be enough? In their quarters, Lieutenant Miller met them, with excitement. During the hearing, I accessed some of the council communication channels, she said, her voice low. I think I've found something important. She displayed data on a small screen. These are transmissions between the Zith and an unknown faction. They're coded, but I've started to break the pattern. What do they say? Asked Freeman. Miller pointed to specific symbols. It's not just about our expansion, there's something else going on. References to the Human Project and genetic harvesting. Genetic harvesting? West's face hardened. What does that mean? I don't know yet, Miller admitted, but I think we weren't randomly discovered. Someone's been watching us for a very long time, and they don't want others to know why. Freeman looked out at the vast station beyond their viewport. What had seemed like a simple trial now felt like something much darker, a conspiracy stretching back perhaps centuries, and humanity was caught in the middle of it. Keep working on those transmissions, he said quietly. When we go back to that chamber, I want to know who's really behind this, and what they want from Earth. The 6 hours before the council reconvened passed in a blur of activity. Lieutenant Miller worked tirelessly to decode more of the mysterious transmissions, while Bishop secured their quarters against surveillance. Dr. Freeman and Captain West prepared their new strategy. I've got it, Miller said finally, her eyes wide with shock. You need to see this. She displayed a series of decoded messages on the screen. The others gathered around. This first part confirms what we suspected, she explained. Earth wasn't randomly discovered. We've been under observation for over 500 years. 500? Freeman's voice was barely a whisper. Miller nodded. But that's not all. Look at this section about genetic harvesting. She highlighted a paragraph of alien text. Certain council factions have been taking human genetic material throughout our history. They've been studying our DNA, our adaptability. For what purpose? Asked West. Miller scrolled down. Medical research mostly. Our bodies can fight off diseases that kill other species. Our cells repair damage differently. She paused. And they've been taking our technology too, reverse engineering it. But why keep us isolated? Bishop asked. Why not just trade with us? That's the key question, Freeman said. And I think I know why. He pointed to another section Miller had decoded. This mentioned something called the Ascension Clause. What is that? Miller shook her head. It's not clear, but it seems to be a council law. Something about new species' rights once they achieve certain technological milestones. West's eyes narrowed. So if Earth reached those milestones, we'd gain rights they don't want us to have, Freeman finished. They've been keeping us in the dark, harvesting what they want from us, while denying us our place in galactic society. Soft tone indicated someone at their door. Bishop checked the security display. It's Ilara, the Veridine ambassador. Let her in, Freeman decided. I think she might be an ally. The elegant blue-skinned alien entered, looking around nervously. I cannot stay long, she said, but you must know. You are not the first species to be treated this way. My own people were isolated for centuries while the elder races took our resources. Why are you telling us this? West asked. Because many younger species are watching your trial. If humans stand up to the council, others might follow. Her silver eyes gleamed. The Veridine remember what it means to fight for freedom. We have not forgotten, though many think we have. What happens in the second session? Freeman asked. They will ask for your final statement, then vote on containment. Ilara moved toward the door. Be ready for anything. The Zith rarely play fair when they think they might lose. After she left, the humans gathered to plan. We need to present this evidence to the full council, Freeman said. Expose the conspiracy. And if they shut us down? West asked. Freeman looked at each member of the delegation. Then we make sure the message gets out anyway. When they returned to the council chamber, Freeman noticed changes immediately. Armed guards stood at each entrance. The Zith delegation had nearly doubled in size. The air felt charged with tension. High Arbiter Kolvex called the session to order. Before the final statements, Ambassador Tizit has requested time to present new evidence regarding human intentions. Tizit stepped forward, mandibles clicking. During the recess, we discovered disturbing communications from Earth. Their military leaders are preparing for possible conflict with the Council. The display showed images of Earth's defense preparations, ships being armed, troops mobilizing. These preparations began the moment they learned of our existence, Tizit continued, before any council demands were made. This proves their aggressive nature. West leaned toward Freeman. Those are security precautions any responsible government would take. They're twisting it. Freeman nodded. When Tizit finished, he stepped forward. High Arbiter, I also have new evidence to present. Evidence that changes everything we've discussed today. Kolvex's crystalline form pulsed with light. Proceed. Freeman nodded to Miller, who activated their display. Council members, what you're about to see was decoded from transmissions between the Zith Collective and an unknown faction. Tazit's antennae went rigid. This is an outrage. Private communications are not. These communications directly relate to the charges against humanity. Freeman continued firmly. They reveal that Earth was not randomly discovered. We have been under observation for centuries. The chamber went silent as Miller displayed the decoded transmissions. According to these records, Earth was scheduled for official contact 50 years ago, when we achieved spaceflight capability. That contact was deliberately delayed. Freeman looked directly at Tazit. Delayed to allow certain council factions to continue harvesting human genetic material and technology without offering the trade rights we would be entitled to under the Ascension Clause. Murmurs spread through the chamber. Freeman saw many representatives turning to confer with their delegations. Humans weren't allowed to know about council space because then we would have to be recognized. Instead, we were kept isolated while our genetics and innovations were taken without our knowledge or consent. The Luminoth representative, Zaniel, floated forward. Is this true, High Arbiter? Was Earth denied proper contact? Before Kolvex could answer, Ambassador Tazit screeched, a sound that made the humans wince despite their translators. These are fabrications, desperate attempts to avoid just containment. The humans are manipulating you with false evidence. The transmissions are genuine, Miller said calmly. I've included verification codes in the data. Any council member can authenticate them. Chaos erupted in the chamber. Several representatives stood, demanding to examine the evidence. Others called for an investigation. The Veridine delegation, led by Alara, moved to support the humans. High Arbiter Kolvex raised his crystalline arms. Order! We will have order in this chamber. As the commotion continued, Captain West noticed a change in the Zith delegation. They were clustering together, touching antennae in what appeared to be rapid communication. Something's happening, she whispered to Bishop. Be ready. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the chamber. Emergency lights flashed. The station is under attack, called a voice over the communication system. Multiple Zith warships have broken from the defense fleet and are firing on Nexus Station. Tazit turned to the human delegation, compound eyes gleaming. If we cannot contain you through law, we will do so through force. Your evidence will never leave this station. Guards rushed into the chamber as the floor shuddered beneath them. The council session descended into panic as representatives rushed for exits. They're trying to silence us, West said, drawing the small defensive weapon she'd been allowed to keep, and eliminate the evidence. Freeman turned to Miller. Can you broadcast the evidence to all council worlds? From here? No, she replied. We need to reach a main communication hub. Then that's our mission, Freeman said firmly. We need to get this truth out before the Zith can bury it, and us. The human delegation found themselves in the middle of a conflict they never wanted, fighting alongside aliens they had just met. As another explosion rocked the station, Freeman realized that humanity's first major act on the galactic stage would not be diplomacy after all. It would be survival. Chaos ruled the halls of Nexus Station. Emergency lighting cast red shadows as aliens of all shapes and sizes rushed toward evacuation points. Dr. Freeman led the human delegation through the confusion, following Alara's directions to the nearest communication hub. This way, Captain West called, her weapon drawn. She took point, with Bishop covering their rear. The station shuddered as another blast hit somewhere nearby. Why attack the entire station? Freeman asked as they ran. They're endangering everyone, including their own council members. The Zith are willing to sacrifice much to keep their secrets, Ilara replied. If our evidence reaches all council worlds, many elder races will lose power. The Zith would rather destroy Nexus than let that happen. They rounded a corner and found themselves face to face with 4 Zith soldiers. Their insectoid forms looked even more menacing in battle armor. Humans, one chittered through its translator. You will not leave this station alive. Before anyone could respond, a pulse of brilliant light shot over their shoulders. The Luminoth emissary, Zaniel, floated behind them, glowing with intense energy. The humans stand under Luminoth protection, Zaniel declared, its voice resonating with power. The Zith hesitated, then raised their weapons. Zaniel released another pulse of energy. The Zith soldiers fell, stunned but alive. I monitored your Hyao. Communication channels, Zaniel explained. The Luminoth have suspected the elder race's corruption for centuries but lacked proof. Your evidence must reach our homeworlds. With Zaniel joining them, they continued toward the communication hub. Along the way, they encountered more allies. A group of Varadine security forces and even representatives from smaller council species who had suffered similar treatment to humanity. The hub is just ahead, Ilara said as they reached a sealed door. But it will be heavily guarded. As if confirming her words, blaster fire erupted from both sides of the corridor. The group took cover behind support columns. We need a distraction, West said, assessing the situation. Something to draw. Their fire while a small team reaches the hub. I can help with that, said a deep voice behind them. They turned to see High Arbiter Colvex's crystalline form approaching, surrounded by a squad of official council guards. You support us? Freeman asked in surprise. I support truth, Colvex replied. The council was created to foster cooperation among species, not exploitation. These actions dishonor our founding principles. With Colvex's forces providing cover, West and Freeman made their plan. The High Arbiter would lead a frontal assault to draw away the Zith guards. Meanwhile, Freeman, West, Miller, and Zanel would slip through a maintenance conduit to reach the hub from another direction. Be careful, Ilara told them. Even with the element of surprise, the Zith are dangerous opponents. So are humans, West replied with grim determination. The plan worked initially. Colvex's forces engaged the Zith in a firefight that echoed through the corridors. While the battle raged, the small human team and Zanel crawled through a narrow service tunnel that the energy-based Luminoth could easily navigate. They emerged into the communication hub to find it nearly deserted, except for Ambassador Tizit and 2 guards. Persistent vermin, Tizit hissed when he saw them. Your species always refuses to accept its proper place. Our proper place is standing equal with other sentient beings, Freeman replied. Not being harvested for our genetics or our ideas, Tizit gestured to his guards. Kill them all. The official record will show they died in the unfortunate attack. What happened next stunned everyone. West moved with shocking speed, dodging energy blasts and closing the distance to the nearest guard. Her combat training showed as she disarmed the much larger alien and used its own weapon against it. Miller, usually quiet and technical, revealed unexpected skills as she disabled the hub's security systems and began interfacing with the main. Consul. Bishop engaged the second guard, using the station's lighter gravity to his advantage. The Sith were strong but slow compared to humans. He landed a series of precise strikes that kept the guard off balance. Meanwhile, Freeman faced Tizit directly. The ambassador had drawn a ceremonial blade. You may kill me, Freeman said calmly, but you cannot kill what I represent. Humanity will not be contained or exploited. We offer friendship to those who respect us and resistance to those who don't. Noble words for a primitive species, Tizit replied, advancing. Zaniel intervened, placing himself between them. The time for violence is over, Tizit. Your faction has lost. On the main console, Miller called out, I'm in, broadcasting to all council systems now. The evidence began streaming out across thousands of worlds. The secret observations, the genetic harvesting, the deliberate delay of first contact with Earth and other species. Zeet's mandibles clicked furiously. This changes nothing. The elder races control the council. They will never... A new alarm sounded, different from the attack warnings. Ilara's voice came over the communication system. Attention all beings on Nexus Station. The Zith attack has been contained. Their warships are retreating. Emergency crews are responding to damaged sections. The crisis is stabilizing. And, she added, her voice carrying a note of triumph, 5 additional member species have formally requested emergency council sessions regarding the evidence broadcast by the human delegation. The Varadine Confederation officially recognizes Earth as a sovereign power and offers immediate alliance. Tazit's compound eyes seemed to dim as he realized the extent of his failure. Without another word, he turned and fled the hub. "Let him go," Freeman said as West moved to pursue. "We've won the real battle." Over the next several hours, the station returned to order. In an emergency session, High Arbiter Kolvex acknowledged the Council's systemic failures and called for reform. Several elder races denied involvement in the conspiracy, pointing fingers at the Zith, who had already withdrawn their delegation from Nexus. "The Council has failed in its duty," Kolvex declared. "We were meant to guide younger species, not exploit them. Change must come, but the damage was done." The Council fractured along ideological lines, those supporting the old order versus those demanding equality for all species. 2 days later, the human delegation prepared to return to Earth. They were not going alone. Representatives from 5 alien species requested to accompany them, the beginning of new alliances based on mutual respect rather than dominance. "You've changed everything," Alara told Freeman as they boarded the Intrepid. "Many younger species now look to Earth as an example." "We never wanted conflict," Freeman replied. "We still don't. But we won't accept being treated as lesser beings," the Sao Luminoth emissary Zan-Il joined them. "The Council's authority is fragmenting. Some elder races are already mobilizing their forces. A wider conflict may be unavoidable." "Then we'll be ready," West said. When they reached Earth, the human delegation found a planet transformed. The news of what had happened at the Council had united Earth's nations as nothing had before. The Terran Defense Alliance had been formed, combining the military and scientific resources of all major powers. Admiral Carter greeted them at the landing pad. "You've done something remarkable," he told Freeman and West. "You've given humanity a voice in the stars." "And possibly started a war," Freeman added soberly. "A war we didn't choose," Carter replied. "But one we'll finish if necessary. 1 week." Later, Carter stood before Earth's combined military forces. On the platform with him were the alien representatives who had returned with the delegation, the beginning of Earth's first interstellar alliances. "We came to the stars seeking knowledge and found politics," Carter said, his voice carrying to the thousands of assembled soldiers and officers. "We offered friendship and encountered fear. We stand now at the threshold of a war that will determine not just humanity's future, but the freedom of dozens of species across the galaxy." He paused, looking at the aliens who now stood with humanity. "They feared us because they recognized something in us they had lost, the will to fight for what's right no matter the odds. Today, humanity becomes not just defenders of Earth, but champions for all who seek self-determination among the stars." He spoke. The first joint human-alien military fleet prepared to depart Earth orbit. News had arrived of Council hardliners moving against human colonies. The sound of war followed humanity into the stars, not as conquerors, but as liberators. And somewhere in the vast darkness of space, other species waited, watching to see if the upstart humans would succeed where others had failed, breaking the cycle of dominance that had ruled the galaxy for millennia. The battle at the Galactic Council was over. The war for freedom had just begun.